Αγαπητοί φίλοι, βρισκόμαστε στο δεύτερο μέρος της συζήτησης, συνάντησης με την Έλενα Παπανδρέου και τον μεγάλο μαέστρο Όσκαρ Ghiglia. Μαέστρο, ένας νέος κιθαριστής, ένας νέος καλλιτέχνης ετοιμάζεται να μελετήσει ένα καινούριο έργο. Ποια κατά τη γνώμη σου είναι η αντιμετώπιση που πρέπει να έχει προς αυτό το έργο?
So, suppose a young guitarist, a young player is about to practice a new work, a new piece. Which should be, in your opinion, the way he will he will deal with this piece, practice this piece?
Very good question. That reminds me of the way I was practicing when I was beginning a piece, a new piece. You have to think that with every piece, together with it come a load of souvenirs of having heard such and such playing it, or such and such other play it, or on different instruments and so. But as my new solfège teacher said, go back to the first exercise and go and then start from the first year. So that means that in every new piece, first of all, the notes are much older. They've been there for thousands of years. So what is new is the form, the structure, the outside shape, but the inside substance of the notes is still there. It's the same that was there. So you have to think that what I did, I set with the same piece, I took a metronome and loaded it, charged it, and put it at about 76, tock, 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 and it was too noisy, so I put it inside a drawer, so I could hear tock, 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 and I was happier, but I had to follow that. So, and then I learned the piece with the music, but every note had to sound, had to wait between two notes. I had to wait a long time. So if there were quarter notes, that sometimes I had to wait wait for 8 tick tack, tick tack, and so on. And then the second one came.
So the main piece you did like that, sorry to interrupt, was the fugue.
The fugue by Bach.
From the Preludio Fuga Allegro.
Yes. I remember re, do, and so on. See?
8 times.
8 times.
One beat, one note,
yes.
8 beats of the metronome.
After that, I would play it again, but this time I would give it only 4 times. Re, do, wow, very close. Mi, and then re, do, re, mi. And the 4th time I go re, do, re, mi, la, si, do, re, and do, re, fa, mi, re, so, fa, mi, re, do, si, mi, do, fa, da, 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 and so on.
How much time did the first way last?
The first took about an hour or something. and the whole set would take about 2.5 hours. But what happened is that between two notes, I made sure that the left hand was ready to play the next note as if it were an open string for the right hand. So they didn't have to think left and right together. No. So I was playing the second finger, and the next note was played with the first finger. So I would place the first finger in the place where it was going to be after 8 beats
Of the metronome.
of the metronome. Then I lifted up that one, and that was there. So the right hand played it as if it were an open string. Didn't have to change, reach the string, and so, and the whole thing was done like that. And I repeated every part until it was perfect. But in the meantime, new ideas would come to me as souvenirs of past experiences with the same note, with the same 2 notes, with the same 3 notes. This is what a composer has when he plays 3 notes. How many times has he heard those 3 notes in a row, in the same order? Many times. So he will probably consider that. And at the end, I had no doubt about what I was doing. All I had to do was just pluck and play. And then I would go out and sing every note and conduct it with the right hand or with both hands. And then in the evening, I would play it in tempo. And if somebody was there, I would play it for him or for her. And so, I had no fear of missing. I was just going through a complete circle of things that had been going on so well, so many times, and I could not even think about preparing fingers when I was playing in tempo, because I would waste time. But the fingers had all been prepared. That there was a whole series. All I had to do is just keep plucking.
And then you went to Segovia with the fugue.
I went to Segovia with that fugue.
And what happened?
And Segovia, when he heard it, he stood up from the chair. He came towards me and he shook hands with me. And he said a few words that I can't remember, but never forget this piece, because this is the foundation of your technique, of your future performance style and everything. So I was very happy. From that day, his opinion changed from this to that about me. He used to have nightmares thinking of me. I dreamt of a guy with a big head full of hair and a beard, and he was holding his head inside his hands, and he was walking towards me. What was it? My gosh, I was shaking with fear. And then I said, "That's Ghilia," he thought. So everybody laughed. And so, and so his opinion about me went totally different. And he kept saying he used to hold the guitar like a lightning rod, and he used to play and make faces with every note. But then he changed, and his playing is much better. So he just acknowledged what I did, but I did it like that, practicing slowly. Because when you're slow, you can see as if you were driving very slow on a freeway. You see, you can count the trees, you can see all the dogs that cross, you can see the birds that fly. You can see that if one bird flies in one direction and another bird at the same time flies in a different direction. And you don't change and look at one and then the other, but you see them both move. So you have this idea of counterpoint that is developed. You hear different voices, and everybody loves it. All the musicians I played that piece for, they were positive. They thought, oh, it's very, very good. So, still now, if I sit down and practice that piece, I can play all the notes without fear. And that was about, 70 years ago, 60 years ago.
So the beginning and the foundation, the first work on a piece is very important.
The foundation is to sit there and use a microscope. And then afterwards you can use you can see the whole picture. So I don't see many people doing that. It's a pity though. They should.
Ένας νέος σολίστ που θέλει να επιλέξει το ρεπερτόριό του για ένα κοντσέρτο, θα πρέπει να το κάνει ακολουθώντας την προσωπικότητά του, τι ταιριάζει σε αυτόν, στην ιδιοσυγκρασία του, ή να ακολουθήσει τα εκάστοτε ρεύματα της εποχής που υπάρχουν?
So a young soloist, if he or she is planning a concert, the program for a concert, should they try to follow their own feeling, their own what suits them, or follow the current of the time, that each period there are some pieces
the current
in fashion,
of the time is like rain. Oh, today it rains and tomorrow it's sunny. It is not anything solid. It's what people who hear other players, they think, and they call it, that's the current of the day. But what's the current of the day? Maybe you can count about 5 or 6 players who play in a certain way, and this is the current. No, this is what happens today, and yesterday it was different, and tomorrow is going to be different again. So do the right way. That's the only possible way. And the right way is by understanding every step of it. Then, when you know the piece and the repertoire so much that you can wish to share it with others, then you add this and you share it, because that's what a concert is. Sharing your experience with the public.
So the choice of the pieces, as I understand, would be what suits you, what you like, what
should be
you support.
It's like inviting somebody for dinner. You can make pasticcio, you can make cocoretti, you can make all sorts of stuff, but if you want to invite people you like, really, then you try to order or to make the food that you know that is the best. And so the best you know, the best you have experienced, and that's it. It doesn't matter if you have played it already in public many times. A new piece is good too, to put something new also. I remember Segovia, every year he had one new piece. And he played it, but usually he didn't put all his love in it. He just played it because it was written for him and he wanted to add a new player. a new composer. But what mattered was the substance of the whole program. So he decided there was ancient, classical, modern, and contemporary, everything. He could good to put a piece of everybody, not just contemporary. So if your repertoire includes all of them, then do it. Or else do a program with only 2 or 3 styles, or one style.
Στην Ελλάδα συνηθίζουμε να λέμε στις συζητήσεις που κάνουμε οι κιθαριστές ότι έχει αναπτυχθεί μία σπουδαία ελληνική κιθαριστική σχολή. Εσύ ως κάποιος άνθρωπος που το βλέπει πιο αντικειμενικά, έχεις γεννηθεί στην Ιταλία, ζεις στην Ελλάδα, πώς βλέπεις αυτήν, ποια είναι η άποψή σου για την ελληνική κιθαριστική σχολή?
So in Greece, when we guitarists meet, we often say that there is a very good guitar school in Greece. You on your side, you are born in Italy, you have been all around the world, you live in Greece. How do you see the Greek guitar school?
I see that there are, I don't know which one the Greek guitar school is.
Not one, I mean the guitarists in Greece
Guitarists
in
like
general.
Asimakopoulos, Boudounis, and Elena Papandreou, and a few others. And then the new ones, the young ones that are coming, her students. Her students are promising, are very promising, are very good. I don't know. I cannot compare the guitar schools of Greece with the guitar school of Italy, of France, or Germany, or England. Each one has highs and lows. So soon from one school, one comes up and will make it through the world. And we'll meet another one from a different school. For instance, we have Marcin Ghilia, who's, he's Polish. He was my student since he was 16 years old. And, but he's not my student in that he doesn't represent my way. He plays in a way that everybody loves it. And me too. Since I met him when he was very young. And we have young people like Todoris and some of his friends. And I think they're all, but they must not think that they represent a school of a country. They represent perhaps the day, the time of the year, of the century. And
after all, now everybody can see everybody, meet everybody, listen to everybody. It's really, they are merging.
Yeah.
They have the chances to hear everything.
And, there's always, like in paintings, in today's art painting, there is a modern painting, and that's something else. It's not painting the way painting should be. Painting is representing life. But today, there are many ways of painting. Some represent just, they like a wall, an old wall falling apart. They try to make it on a canvas. and they do. And that's another kind of appreciation. But I found a couple of a drawing of birds flying from a Chinese, done with a pen, with such a precision, a precise, and just a few signs, and yet it is beautiful. It is something great. That is a good aspect of contemporary, of modern, of new painting. Others, they just have a name and then work on it. But
can I ask him a question that comes to my mind, Yorgo?
Yes.
You have played with some of the most famous non-guitarists in the world, like Pierre Rampal flute, or the Juilliard Quartet, or Robert Mann, or Pinchas Zuckerman, or Victoria de Los Angeles, or the Italian Quartet. I mean, really some incredible players. So what have you learned from that world, from the outside the guitar musicians? Because my impression is that you have been very influenced by them, both as a player and as a teacher, right?
Yeah, Olga's Elena was reminding me of an event when I was playing with the Juilliard Quartet in Washington, and I was playing a Boccherini quartet, quintet that I had never played before. And they had never played before themselves. So everyone was improvising practically. And
sight reading.
Yeah. And I had a lot of arpeggi, and I was getting rid of them, just and Bobby Mann, the first violin, says, "Oscar, put something in those arpeggi." He felt offended because my playing did not correspond to his view of playing arpeggi. And so I immediately started listening to them and played them like music, not just like arpeggi. And that was better, because you tend to sometimes to just get rid of the idea by winning the difficulty. And that's not it. It is made with notes, and those notes have their meaning. I remember Donatoni, the composer, Franco Donatoni. He wrote Algo, a piece, 2 pieces for guitar. One of them is dedicated to me, and the other one to Ruggero Chiesa. And after I played them in Siena, he came to see me and says, "Oscar, how is that possible that you found so much poetry in my music? I didn't put it in." So I said, "You didn't put it in, but you did. You put in the structure, but the notes were there before. And what the poetry comes from the notes, whatever order." Then he reminded me that I saw him compose, and he was doing it by casting a dice and look at the number and then decide what note to play. Very much never listening to what he was doing. But now I was playing his music, and he listened, and he heard what I was thinking, what I was feeling. And so he came and he says, "Where did you find that poetry?" "I didn't put it in." "Of course, you didn't."
And who told you that you had a bow?
That I had a bow?
Who told you that you had it? Where did you have the bow?
Oh, yeah, a violinist. I was playing the Etude, 11th Etude by Villa-Lobos. And the violinist came and says, "Where did you hide your bow?" Because it was so legato, so expressive, that he thought I was playing with the bow. Well, I didn't have
Ε,
a bow, but I had been watching them. I'd learned from them.
Άκουσα με έκπληξη τις τόσες συνεργασίες που έχεις κάνει, που δεν τις ήξερα όλες, με ονόματα μυθικά. Είναι κάποια από αυτές τις συνεργασίες που σου έχει μείνει ανεξίτηλη και την θυμάσαι έτσι με πολύ ευχαρίστηση?
He heard with surprise about all these incredible legendary people that you have played with. Some of them he had not known of, that you worked with them. So he wonders if any of those you remember with some specific pleasure or it was
Well, one of them was also Gian de Gaetani. We did a recording of the music by that English
Maxwell Davis.
Peter Maxwell Davis, yes. And she was a mezzo-soprano, very good. She was in Aspen. And we played together this contemporary work by Peter Maxwell Davis.
Dark Angels, I think.
Yeah, it is Angels.
So of all those, somebody that you...
Of course, Victoria de Los Angeles.
You have recording a record with,
Yes,
a record with her.
Yes, we did a recording with her. And it was very beautiful. I learned from them, I learned what chamber music means, how to play and how to correspond, to answer to what they do with what we do. And it is, as like Bobby Mann said, put something in those arpeggi. So whatever you say has a meaning and the other has another meaning. It's like a conversation. That's why it's called chamber music.
And we mature it a lot through chamber music.
Very much.
And eventually even the solo we play, when we have played with great other musicians, even that also changes level, I guess.
And it is and it comes from a different world, from a different part of our imagination. Has nothing to do with thinking. It has the same as language. When we speak, we don't go over the words we say before we say them. We kind of visualize more or less where we're going, and then we find the words as they're needed. And so when we play chamber music also, we know how to give importance to those notes we play, and we respond to them in answering what the other one is saying. And that makes beautiful things, like with Elena when we play Granados and
we fight.
And we fight. And we fight sometimes.
Not like that.
Now, Maestro, a very difficult question for you. Tell us about Elena Papandreou.
Elena Papandreou.
Shall I leave?
Yeah.
So that
No, you.
I don't know.
Elena is still a mystery. I never know exactly what she thinks, because one moment we have a big fight, screaming like that, throwing apples and potatoes at each other, and after.
Don't believe everything he says.
No, not
because
really,
he's an artist.
Let him speak, Elena.
Yeah, but if he says we throw apples and potatoes, some people might think we do.
They might try. But then after that, after 5 minutes, we are both smiling at each other and as if nothing had happened. That is something I remember in the beginning. It was not so easy because when we didn't agree on something, she got really angry, and once she banged the boiler on the sink, and it broke in two pieces, and then she left, took her car, and she left, and I was running after the car. Wow, Elena, come on! Turned around, and she slept in the house of a friend.
Are we going to say every detail about her? I
But-
don't think that's what the question meant.
Yes, yes.
No,
The
but
question
that
was
how
about
the
the
situation-
artist, Elena Papandreou, but it's okay. I like this
Okay.
description.
when she played for me the first time in Athens, I didn't know what to say because she was playing beautifully, perfect. So I said, well, maybe show me your score. She said, I don't have it. You don't have the score. How is it possible? I couldn't say anything. So I started talking about mythology and the gods on the Olympus, and she looked at me always. Always with a
I didn't
strange
understand
look.
anything. I was
Strange.
17.
She was 17. But when I hear her play now, I just sit there and listen to her, and sometimes I cannot stop just applauding. Just when I hear just two notes, or a diminuendo, or something that she does, or the way she considered her counterpoint in the pieces by Hatzidakis, I have to applaud. I cannot say anything. Bravo, really good. She plays with all her love, all her ability, and she will always do beautifully.
Dear Elena, tell us your opinion about Oscar. The artist Oscar, not the other one that throws apples
The
and
other
potatoes.
one, I wouldn't tell Kitharologio. This is a talk with a glass of wine when we go have dinner. So Oscar is he's a legend, you know. I know I have him at home, and we are talking about everyday things as well with him. But he's a legend, and I know why. Because he has, in my opinion, influenced the history of the guitar. The course of the guitar, I mean, the course of the guitar in the 20th century, one of the few people that has influenced it to a better direction is Oscar. He, both with his playing and his teaching. And I think that the teaching part he brought further than Segovia. Segovia, I understand from the little I have heard saying videos, that he was mainly asking his students to copy what he was doing. And for that time, I think it was a good idea, because the guitar was in a way starting. It was so at the beginning you ask that. But later, Oscar, he brought it to another level, also influenced by all those great musicians that he collaborated with or studied with. So the way he's teaching is really unique, and I think that all the ones that have studied with him, even a little bit, even in one master class, are carrying something in their playing and in their own teaching. My teaching also is very much influenced by the way he talks to the students and the things he says and the way he opens the antennas, you know, the perception of the whole world, of the whole life through the music and into the music. So you study with Oscar and you become different. You don't just learn how to use your fingers and play better arpeggios and better slurs. There are people that can tell you this really very well, but the way Oscar does is poetry, is he talked about painting, he talked about sculpture, he talks about literature, he tells stories, he sings a lot when he teaches. On the other hand, I have very much learned by listening to him practicing all these years that we have been together, or even before. Sometimes I hosted him before we were together. And I was very impressed listening to him practicing so slowly and listening to every note. I could hear him practice, and after a little bit he would repeat something. I would think, yes, that one, he will stop now, that he did it. So I could understand what he was trying to get and how much he would insist on detail, sometimes on pieces that most players would not really stay so long. I mean, he has practiced the saraband from the third lute suite. You cannot imagine how much. And most players, guitarists and not only, will consider, okay, that's a sloppy, okay, I did it. I mean, I play prima vista, no problem. So the time he invested always into things that really mattered for different reasons, while other moments I would wonder, but why doesn't he practice this one, which is difficult and fast? But what really made him the great figure that he is as a musician was exactly this care about the depth of things and never compromise with cheap stuff on the surface. Just go to the end and not give up. Another very impressive thing is that all the years we are together for 22 years, something like that, almost. He plays pieces all his life. And I would listen to him again playing, let's say, the Hommage à Debussy that he does like nobody else, in my opinion.
Yes.
Or any other pieces that he has played so much. And he suffers because he doesn't have a new idea. Playing a piece for 60 years and suffering because you don't have a new idea. This is what makes you a legend. So otherwise, you just repeat it once again, like you did it every time, and get your success and your money and your big name and go to the next concert. So that's the difference. That's what's making the difference.
Αγαπητοί φίλοι, καταλαβαίνετε ότι 2 εκπομπές...
Συγγνώμη που τα είπα στα αγγλικά, αλλά ήθελα να καταλαβαίνει.
Okay.
Sorry, I said it in Greek, I say, but I wanted you to understand, not to just speak Greek.
Yeah.
Οι φίλοι της εκπομπής καταλαβαίνουν ότι αυτές οι 2 εκπομπές είναι πολύ λίγες για να συμπεριλάβουν μια προσωπικότητα σαν τον Όσκαρ Γκίλια. Έλενα Παπανδρέου, ευχαριστώ εκ βαθέων για αυτή την παρουσία εδώ. Μαέστρο, grazie tanto for your presence here. It was a very great honor for our channel. I'm very moved of all this.
Let me say something. She speaks about that saraband by Bach. Huh?
In 1 minute, please, because we don't have a connection.
Okay.
Big.
I rewrote the whole piece in 4 voices, holding every note forever until it would change.
The connection will gonna close.
Okay.
Bye.
Grazie.
Prego. Arrivederci.